Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be working on the Hellcat Magnum, and what I want to start off with is I got this spare Hellcat engine and it has factory headers. So every set of headers I've tried on the car so far has not worked, and I've wanted to try a factory set before I go down this rabbit hole of making a whole set of custom headers for the car, which I don't mind doing, but I would much rather just throw a factory set of headers on the car for the time being. So it almost works, it's just too far over this way, further up here. So as you can see, down here, we have our steering shaft right here, and it's like right there. If that wasn't there, it'd be perfect. So can't use factory headers, can't use aftermarket ones. The Durango, Hellcat, and Trackhawk ones work, but they just flow really bad. So it's just a 15 millimeter. You stick the tool on there like so. Bolt is normal thread. It also looks like it has an O-ring on it. Yeah, it does have an O-ring. This tool worked exceptionally well. I have the supercharger snout fully disassembled. All the bearings are out of it. And you can see this front bearing is really tight compared to the rear bearing, which is a little less tight. But I feel like since this was it a 2016 or was it a 17? It was an older Hellcat supercharger. So actually, yeah, I think it was a 16, but maybe it was a 17. I can't remember now. But these bearings have 40,000, I believe 42,000 miles on it. So it's quite a few miles for a bearing that is just a sealed bearing, and it doesn't have any other lubrication than the grease that comes in it. So this one feels fine, but this one I mean, they probably would have been fine, but this one from the wreck is definitely would have failed if I would have just stuck it on there. You can see the difference between how nice this one spins and this one barely wants to spin at all. Like, you really have to push on it to get it to spin. And you can see that it's separated right there, the cage. So this is the back side of the bearing. This is the front. And you can see that the grease had already started to come out of it. And it's separated right there. So I'll replace those bearings. I'll get some higher speed ones. So I'll upgrade them. And then this shaft looked good. Didn't seem like there's any issues with that. This bolt is good. I'm surprised they have an O-ring on this bolt because it's all sealed bearings. But I guess that's just to keep air from the inside of the supercharger. Inside the supercharger, I'm guessing. So I'll just clean this shaft up. Probably end up Cerakoting it. Everything else looks good on it. I don't see any issues with threads or anything like that. So when I Cerakote all the stuff for the Trackhawk supercharger, I'll Cerakote this shaft as well as this snout. I was able to get the supercharger snout all the way torn down off of the spare Hellcat engine, and I did that with the help of a tool I designed that I had Send cut out. So they have a share feature I'm going to try to figure out how to use, and I'll put the link in the description. So then you could just click on the link. It will add this tool to your cart, and you could change the material. I made mine out of stainless steel just so it's going to last a long time, and I don't have to worry about it corroding. But this tool from Metco, I believe they're $100, and I think from Send, depending on what material you use, it's going to be like 15 to 30 bucks, which is really nice. So that'll help Send out, that'll help you guys out, and you need that tool to pull that rear bolt to be able to press the bearings out of the supercharger snout. If you have any issues with the bearings or need to replace them, you can also use a tool so you can change and swap supercharger pulleys. So it's just going to come in handy. I'm not going to make any money off of it, but Send has been helping me out. So I just feel like this is a really nice way to be able to get subscribers a tool that they could use for super cheap, and then Send is going to make money, and that helps me out because they help me out. So that being said, I'm really happy that I tore down that supercharger snout because that front bearing was definitely bad. And if I would have ran the engine without pulling that bearing out, it most likely would have seized the supercharger, caused a bunch more damage, most likely snapped the belt. The belt could have got sucked into the crank pulley and just caused a whole bunch of issues if I would have just left it. So I did order the bearings. They should be here sometime next week, I believe. And I ordered some high speed ones or higher speed bearings. So I'll put a link in the description for those once they come. And it just helps because if you put a smaller supercharger pulley on your supercharger, they do last, but having a higher speed bearing in a supercharger with a smaller pulley is definitely helpful. So that, I'm really happy that I was able to get that done. Also, the exhaust manifold situation, I wanted to get a header on the Hellcat Magnum. The only issue is all the headers, all the shorty headers that I've tried don't fit. And all the flanges that come on those headers are just awful. All these header manufacturers have like the worst flanges. You pay like $1,700, $2,000, $900 for a set of headers, and they have like these mild steel flanges that are just laser cut. I designed some CNC exhaust manifold flanges, but for the time being, so it's going to take too much time. I want to get the car running and driving. I'm going to use the factory heavy exhaust manifolds that came off the Durango Hellcat. They're a log cast iron manifold, but the issue I don't like about them is during valve overlap, it's going to suck in a certain percentage of the exhaust gases on the downward stroke. It's not that big of a deal because a lot of people with Trackhawks make like 1,000 wheel horsepower and they have stock exhaust manifolds. So once I put the 426 in there, the plan is to design, or I've already designed the exhaust manifold flanges, but to design the headers so they fit in the car, and they're going to have a 2-inch pipe going to a 3.5-inch collector, and it'll just be like the best of all worlds. There'll be a CNC flange, it'll be really nice and clean instead of everything that is that's on the market right now, which I don't know. I don't like what's out there, and I think it'll just be really nice. But the time it's going to take to get all that going and to make just makes more sense to put those headers on the 426 once I put that engine in there. It just makes more sense to get this car up, running and driving with the stock exhaust manifolds, which will allow me to make the exhaust and finish connecting the rest of the MagnaFlow exhaust to the, the up pipes or test pipes or whatever you want to call them. But I am going to end the video here. If you like these videos, make sure to click that subscribe button, throw a thumbs up, throw a comment below. As always, see you guys next time.